I ran upstairs. He shot at me. I fell in the tub and I kept coming up for air until I heard the police.
Are you shot?
No. He shot above me.
All right, have and have not fans, and as you just saw, that was the explanation as to how Katheryn Cryer survived being shot point blank by her son Wyatt. I've said time and time again that when it comes to the Haves and the Have-Nots season 7, after being gone for a 6-month hiatus, and after reviewing nearly half a dozen other shows while the Haves and the Have-Nots was gone, that I wouldn't be easy on to see. Like the gloves would be off when it comes to my reviews. Like look at season 7, the inconsistencies, repetitive dialogue, characters whose growth is stunted, like they've been in the same character bubble for like multiple seasons, or in our time multiple years, things that just don't make sense, and it's still happening. I think I need to do a video just going over all the ridiculous things that have not made sense so far this season, and it's only been 2 episodes. Like last night alone brought about so many things, and I'm just gonna, like, I was reading through some tweets from last night, and once again, guys, I know I say this in every video because, well, I got to plug into social media. You need to follow me on like Twitter and Instagram and whatnot, because I'm having a blast live tweeting on Tuesday nights, because on Tuesdays, I got the Haves and the Have-Nots on my TV. I got my notepad where I'm jotting down notes from the episode, and then I'm on Twitter tweeting along with other viewers, and it's fun. Not to mention when I wake up the next morning, because, people on the like West Coast, they watch the episode a couple hours after us here on the East Coast. So when I wake up, I get new responses and I'm able to interact with more people. So make sure you follow me on social media. Links in the description box below. But some people were bringing up some good points that I didn't even go over in my review, because I was just so ticked off at the Katheryn survival thing. Like, I mentioned like Hannah arriving at the house and saying that she works for the Cryers when she really doesn't. As of right now, anyway. Remember, she said the next day, because her and Katheryn were on the phone, hey, tomorrow I'll go by the hotel, check things out, and I'll accept a full-time position working there as like the head of the cleaning staff, but I don't want to be anywhere near Jim Cryer, so unfortunately, Katheryn, I won't be working at the house anymore. So that's when she would have been officially rehired. Like, Katheryn has the job lined up. Hannah just has to, go in and accept it and everything, like she said, I'll come by, check things out, but the transaction hasn't been completed is the simplest way to say it. Like, again, I'm no expert. I didn't go to the police academy. Just like in last week's episode, it's like, aren't the police supposed to check to see if the victim has a pulse or something like that, or something along those lines? Like, again, I'm no expert in this, so if there's anyone watching who either is in the, police academy, or was in the police academy, was a former cop, or someone who watches a lot of these different like crime and hospital drama series, just like Jim. I think I did watch Ashley Miller's review last night, because I was just so I didn't even feel like recording the video because I was just so mad. So I watched her review, and she said how she watches other shows that have like the hospital stuff, and she doesn't know if they properly tended to Jim in regards to like pumping the oxygen or something like that into him if he was dead or not. And I'm just like, my head was hurting because there were just so many things that made no sense. Like when those goons were leaving Veronica's house, they kind of went through the back door, I think, and they were all like leaping over the wall like Spider-Man. And I'm just like, that's a pretty dang tall like wall. It doesn't look like there was anything they can get the footing on. Did they just like, wall crawl up there and jump over? What was going on with that? But in any case, guys, when it comes to Katheryn surviving, let me just say, I am not mad that she survived. I'm not saying, yeah, I wanted Katheryn Cryer dead. That's not what I've been saying at all over the past few weeks. I've been saying, like, it makes sense for her and Jim to survive for the sake of being out of commission, because that's where their plots are. Because I want to say it was back in 2018 during the original filming for season 7. There was a leaked photo It was really blurry. It was like Katheryn crying like an orange outfit, and it looked like she was behind prison bars or jail bars, and well, because she got arrested. And I remember doing the video about how Jim and Katheryn be out of commission because John Snyder was on Dancing with the Stars, so it makes sense for Jim to not be in a prominent role this season. Like, you know, he'll be either in the hospital or in jail. And then with Katheryn, it's like I said, okay, so she got shot, fell over head first into the water. Who knows how long she's underwater until the police find her. So perhaps, you know, she has the gunshot wound and, you know, being underwater made her unconscious. So maybe she's in like a semi-coma. So she'll possibly be out of commission for a handful of episodes and then eventually get arrested for the Jennifer Salson murder. And I mentioned this in the episode review, but I want to say this again here. I called it back in like, what was it, June or July, after the episode Show Not Tell. I said, look, the reason George and the police came to Katheryn's house was because the Cryers and Harringtons have been indicted by the jury that Wyatt testified to, meaning that, and this was confirmed by Veronica because Veronica, David, Jim, and Katheryn were all sitting together at Katheryn's house trying to figure out a plan, and one of Veronica's contacts called her saying that they've been indicted, meaning that any moment George could come and arrest them all. Because I remember that same night Jim was just casually watching TV. I think this was before Kyle stopped by the Attorney General in order to talk about Candace Young, in order to help, and also the return would be getting Wyatt off of the what was it, the hit and run charges or something like that, or the help, or was it to sweep the Jennifer Salson case under the rug? It was one of those two. It's been a while, but in any case, it's like you scratch my back, I scratch yours between Jim and Kyle. But in any case, yeah, Jim was watching television because Kat's was like, what the hell are you doing? And it was just so awkward, but in a cool way, to for once to just see Jim casually watching TV, because we know he's looking for a sign that George is going to make a move. But in the midst of these characters always on the run, either running away from drama, creating drama, trying to get this person, get that person, it just felt kind of out of place, but calming to see Jim Cryer just watching TV. That's something we never really see these characters, you know, do a lot anyway. And remember, he was looking out for George because at any moment there could have been a knock on the door for them to be arrested. So people were saying, no, Jeremy, Wyatt shot his parents, and then the police showed up because, you know, Derek was on the phone with Katheryn, and that brings about a whole lot of other questions, which I'll get to later on in this video, because we don't know who Jim was talking to on the phone. We have confirmation that it wasn't David, because if David was really on the phone with Jim before he got shot, he would have heard him, because Jim had the phone in his hand. And, you know, David would have been the person that, you know, like, Jim, what's that? And then, you know, he would have heard the gunshot, because obviously Wyatt was not even that far. He was kind of like a few steps within the entry of the living room, and Jim was at the fireplace, and then he got shot. Then, of course, goes upstairs to Katheryn, and they're barely a few feet from each other. I mean, Wyatt's literally standing damn near right above his mother, who's, you know, and I don't want to say cowering, because hell, I'll be doing the same thing. Well, begging for her life, you know, while sitting on the edge of the tub. And remember, she was on the phone with Derek and then heard the gunshot, went downstairs. So we do not know if Katheryn turned the phone off. I don't think she did. I think she just put the phone down and immediately rushed off. And then, you know, that's when she came up the stairs screaming and running. And then, you know, Derek, if he was still on the phone, would have heard Katheryn, you know, begging for her life and the gunshot going off, because remember, her phone was right there. So it wasn't like the cops, you know, Wyatt was just standing around for, you know, a long time. Then the cops eventually showed up. But George and the police just so happened to come by at, you know, moments after the final, you know, bullet went off that didn't hit Katheryn, because that's when Wyatt went downstairs, opened the door, and had the gun behind his back, which I still don't know why he did that. And then he got shot. Then the police went in. Okay, so Katheryn's reasoning is that, or excuse me, Katheryn's explanation is, he shot at me and I fell backwards into the tub. He shot above me. So Katheryn, I guess you could say, pretended to be shot by, you know, staying submerged underwater while kind of periodically coming up for air until she heard the police come. So I I guess it's a good thing the police came right after she got shot, air quotes, because the cops, showed up. I'm guessing, she heard the sirens and everything, and then probably the gunshot that hit Wyatt, then the cops coming into the house. And then, when that one cop came into the, her bathroom saying, "Oh, got a body," that's probably when she's like, "Oh, I'm still alive." Guys, this makes no damn sense. The Veronica thing, I wasn't even too upset about that. Remember when David drowned her in the pool? Jim gave the explanation about her being a lifeguard and knowing how to hold her breath. That made sense. I wasn't happy that Veronica survived because that was one hell of a cliffhanger from the last episode. But, what was the episode title? A New Leaf? Yeah, A New Leaf. I wasn't happy about that fact that Veronica just survived just like that. But there was a reasonable explanation. It's like, I'm mad because the cliffhanger was so damn good. But Jim just saying something like, her being a lifeguard. Oh, okay, Tyler. Okay, I'm kind of mad you gave us the, the 180 there. But there was a reasonable explanation. But to have Wyatt, I want to say effing, but I don't want to, just go that raw on this video. To have Wyatt, there are two ways you could look at this. And guys, I know there are some people unlike me who are like, I'm glad Katheryn's alive, Jeremy. Stop being a stick in the mud. No. But you're entitled to your opinion. Did Wyatt feel sorry and remorseful for his mother because she was pleading for her life, saying, "I love you, son. Please don't do this." So as a scare tactic, kind of like what the Malones did, when they shot at Candace's head and the gun went off at her ear and, she fell over to give her the impression she was shot, but she wasn't because they had her head covered with the bag and everything. So did just Wyatt purposely miss because, that's his mom? And then, after falling in the tub, he probably figured that she knocked herself out and that she would die from drowning. Or did he shoot to kill, but because he was high? And that's something we kind of forget because it has been a while, guys. Wyatt's still high from those drugs RK gave him. So he's still high. Did he miss because he was high? That is a possibility, but it makes no freaking sense because he was that close. But then I go back to the episode way back when Warlock and his crew burst into the motel room that Mitch, Benny, Quincy Jr., and Hannah were in. And remember, during that time, Mitch and Benny were fighting off War and those goons. I think it was like, almost half a dozen guys. So it was pretty much like 2 on 6 to 8 other people. Then when, because Benny and Mitch were holding their own for the most part. I think Warlock got a couple of good shots in on Benny, but they didn't go down like punks. But they all took out their guns. And remember, Hannah and Quincy Jr. were in the bathroom. They all took out their guns and started firing at Benny and Mitch, who were like in the kitchen area. They were kind of like, not too far away from the front door, Warlock and his crew. They were all shooting at Mitch and Benny. And it was strange because Mitch and Benny, especially Mitch is a tall guy. He's not an easy dude to miss if you're trying to hit him with something. So for some reason, Benny and Mitch are able to evade the bullets of like 6 guns. And they have time to kind of jump over from the kitchen area to the bed, pull up the mattress, and then block the bullets until, Warlock and the crew hear the police, and then they run off. And I'm like, they must have like stormtrooper aim from Star Wars because they can't hit worth a damn. But you're really trying to tell me that Wyatt, and this is just me assuming that he was literally shooting to kill. He wasn't shooting to scare his mother. Because he was literally bragging that he killed both his parents. He shot them both. So based off the performance he put on for George and the police, and then for, Hannah when she stopped by, I'm thinking that he really did shoot to kill Katheryn. How he missed is like, what? And not to mention, if you shot your mother to kill and she fell over backward in the water and there's no visible blood, wouldn't you shoot again? Or, oh wait, how many bullets did he put in there? I forgot it. I think he loaded it with 2. He put the bullets in the damn gun at like the end of season 5, remember? Because that's when he went. This was after he had testified. Jim brought him back to the house, but for whatever reason, he didn't have Leo and Mac there to watch him to make sure he doesn't do anything stupid. So while the Harringtons and Cryers are trying to pull their pieces together in order to evade being taken to jail, Wyatt's just walking around the house scot-free. He goes down to the basement, finds the rifle in the case or whatever, the chest. Then he puts the bullets in there, goes back upstairs with the gun, sets it up near the fireplace, and then for like a couple of days it's just sitting there. And throughout season 6, we never even see the gun until the cliffhanger of Show Not Tell. And I always said, Hannah isn't working at at Katheryn's house anymore, but Diane is. Diane being like the other maid working there. And I'm like, well, and then we also saw a couple times, like there was a young white, I believe like redheaded female who like answered the door, and Broderick came in the house. So there are multiple other cleaning staff workers there. And I'm thinking to myself, even though we don't see them on screen, we know they're there to clean the house. I'm like, why didn't anyone bring up the fact that there's a gun near the fireplace? Like, I mean, like if I was cleaning at someone's house for whatever reason, and I come in and do my job, I know it's not my business, but I would mention, yes, Mrs. Cryer or Mr. Cryer, because, Jim, it's not his house, but he still was there. And I'm like, Mr. Cryer, I was near the fireplace and there's a gun there. And, I didn't move it. I didn't touch it. But, was there a reason that it was there? Did you want it moved somewhere, without their permission? Because I'm not going to touch something that could be a loaded firearm. Because remember, if I'm just cleaning there, I wouldn't know if the gun was loaded or not, nor would I want to find out. So for Katheryn, nor Jim, or anyone to even notice the gun near the fireplace is suspect to me. I think that was bad writing. So to actually have, and guys, I know this video is long, but it's just so aggravating how this played out, because this is supposed to be the deadliest season ever. And and I know it was only episode 2, but the only deaths so far have been those 2 guys, what was it? Tyrone and, I'm sorry for the page flipping. I'm looking through my notebook right now. What was it? Tyrone and Rodney, or hang on, I got it written down somewhere. Randy and Tyrone. Those are the only 2 people that were killed. And those are 2 of those thugs from the crew that Veronica hired. So I'm just sitting to myself like, are we going to do what we did in season 6? Because season 6 was good, and it was only 9 episodes. But there were way too many fake outs. Like the ending of episode 1, Justin points the gun at David's head. The ending of episode 2, Justin points the gun at his head and Jeffrey's head. Both the guns go off. Then the next episode, we got 2 gunshot victims from Spanish Moss Trail. And then the next episode, David and Madison are at the morgue of the hospital. And then in the next episode, that's not my son. And then, well, yeah, that's right, because what was it? Veronica and David get called down to the hospital, and then they think Jeffrey's dead, but Veronica doesn't believe it. And then, the body isn't Jeffrey's, and then we have the fake out of Veronica drowning, but she's not. And then we have the cliffhanger ending with the shooting at David's house and then the shooting at the Cryer house. So out of all those bullets, the only person who's dead are the Randy and Tyrone. Jim's fate is up in the air, but guys, we know Jim Cryer isn't dead. Wyatt got nicked in the shoulder just to kind of take him out, and Katheryn just wasn't hit by the bullet at all. Oh boy. So you're probably wondering, well, Jeremy, all that's to say, well, even though Katheryn wasn't shot, I've been watching her videos for a while, and I know you haven't been a fan of Katheryn's character for the past season or so, because here she is just being Hannah's best friend, hooking her up with David, trying to tell Wyatt that he needs to pay for his crime for, when he almost killed Vinnie Malone and left him for dead on the floor of the bar, being a sex hound, having threesomes and everything, yet she hasn't paid for her crimes for Jennifer Salison. So aren't you happy she got arrested? Yeah, because that's for a couple reasons. Number one, she killed Jennifer Salison in cold blood. Look, I know what you're thinking. Some people have defended Katheryn, saying that she was protecting her son, and Jennifer wouldn't help her get the money back from Wyatt because the money would destroy him. Correct. But the difference between, and I've been preaching this for months, and once again, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in the episode review. The difference between Wyatt slicing Vinny's throat versus Katheryn shooting Jennifer Salison multiple times is completely different. Wyatt was acting in self-defense. Vinny Malone was trying to kill him because all the drugs he had used and he didn't have the money for it, because this was at a time where Candace had the money rewired. So the next morning when he woke up to try to use the ATM, he had no money. He called the bank. The money wasn't there. So Vinny was like, I want to kill you. So then they got into their fight. And next thing you know, Wyatt takes the beer bottle, smashes it, and then slices Vinny's throat and then gets the hell out of there after Jim shows up and he's trying to clean the fingerprints. And who was it, Jim or Wyatt? Well, I think it was Wyatt, and then he gave it to Jim. They have the tape of what went down in the bar. And I'm like, has anyone ever watched that? Because even though that would actually help defend Wyatt in court for the Vinny Malone situation, the Malones wouldn't give a damn. Well, I mean, you know, Jim did pay him back, but at the same time, you know, let's just pretend the whole Jim giving Mitch the money to give to Vinny didn't happen at this point. Let's say if it was taken to court and, you know, Wyatt played the video and then it did show he was acting in self-defense because Vinny was trying to kill him. That does, and I'm not saying that this excuses Wyatt for going down there to do drugs in the first place. I'm not saying that at all, but the circumstances of someone being harmed violently were completely different. Wyatt was trying to defend himself because his life was literally on the line. Now you go over to Katheryn. She was just distraught over the situation with Jennifer. This was like bubbling for like a season or whatever, from being told that her son was dead from overdosing, which he wasn't. Remember, David was the one that went over there and saw he had a pulse, even though the police and paramedics, for whatever reason, said he was dead. And then, you know, she threatened Jennifer several times, badass moments. But Katheryn killing Jennifer is something she has to pay for. My question is, you know, when the truth actually comes out that she did do it, because, you know, Katheryn's saying, I had nothing to do with this. I wonder how Hannah's going to look at her friend now. But also, remember over the past season or so, if not 2 seasons, Jim has been saying, Katheryn, we need to handle this. Because Jim, and I'm not saying I like Jim, but Jim has been the only person over the past couple seasons trying to get everyone together so they can get out of this mess, from Wyatt's testimony to the Jennifer Salison situation. He's been the one trying to get David, Veronica, Katheryn, and himself in the same room to pull their resources to get out of this mess, because he recognizes that we need to work together. Veronica's just trying to get back at David, and, you know, David's trying to defend himself from Veronica, and Katheryn just doesn't give a damn. And she's been saying, I don't care, let's go to jail. And I've always been saying, I don't like this new Katheryn. So as Jim said, when the time comes and we get arrested and get put behind bars, I hope you keep that same energy. I don't give a damn. And that's why she's having these threesomes and whatnot. So the question is, what's she going to do now? Because she told Joe, like, you have no idea who you're messing with, what kind of power and resources I have. And I'm like, I don't think that's going to mean anything at this point. I mean, true, Veronica did get away with the Maggie Day situation, but at the same time, she orchestrated that hit. So she was clean. As Jim has said time and time again, Katheryn leaves these big messes that he has to clean up. So with Jim out of commission, I don't know how the hell she's going to get out of this one. We'll have to wait and see. But in any case, guys, this video was a lot longer than I expected it to be. But like I said, it just makes no flipping sense to me how Katheryn Cryer survived the shooting. And I know she explained it. So on the one hand, I'm glad it was explained. But on the other, I still think it's bullshit. It just makes no sense to me how this worked out. Sheesh, I mean, I recorded this video in 2 segments. I took a break because I didn't realize, oh, dang, I'm already like 24 minutes into this thing. I took a break, stepped back to cool off. My mom called during her lunch break to talk about the episode. And she was mad she stayed up that late because she had to wake up at 4 to get ready for work. And the episode was not that good. She said something that hurt me, but then I thought I can't help but agree, but also feel like I'm betraying. It's almost like I'm biting the hand that feeds me. And when I say this, and I don't mean this in any bad way, but at the same time, I say with all due respect, if the show continues on with the same level of like quality we're getting right now in terms of bad writing and storytelling, maybe a couple like over like a couple years ago when the story broke around this time in like what was it 2018 if I'm not mistaken, when Tyler Perry was first announced, you know, that article broke about him leaving OWN, and then like if Loving You Was Wrong, Have Nots would end in 2020 because it's going to Viacom. Maybe the show would have been better off ending as opposed to going on for another 2 seasons after this one. Remember, there is a season 8 that's already been filmed, and season 9 has been confirmed but hasn't been filmed yet. Because I remember being sad over the news when it first broke, but then over time I'm like, well, I would rather the show end on a solid note, you know, stick the landing at the very end of it, wrapping up the character stories, or possibly ending it in a semi cliffhanger-ish way where things get resolved, but the door is left open for the story to be continued. Why not do a movie? Why not do like a prequel series or whatever? But the way the show's getting now with all these fake out deaths and everything, it's gotten old and it's gotten tired. And I've grown tired. And I feel like I might have to do a separate video on this, but I think I'll save the whole should the show end. I'll wait until like maybe after next week. I don't want to be premature. To be fair, we're only 2 episodes in, but at the same time, this is season 7. Some of this shit is inexcusable at this point. I can't, I got to take the gloves off because some of this stuff is bad writing. I feel like at this point, it's like Tyler Perry, you know, isn't really giving this show the attention he used to, which is, I get it because he has so many other projects, but at the same time, this show has been #1 on OWN since it debuted for a reason, because it was like his best work. Like when the Olsen Sisters came out, people were like, I ain't really feeling these shows, but you know, some people said I only watch because the haves and the have-nots aren't on right now. So to actually make us wait 6 months and still bring back the show with mediocre writing and pacing and whatnot, that's why I feel betrayed and cheated. And I know some people are like, Jeremy, why are you even saying this? Like, this is the show that made your channel. You are absolutely correct. And I'm still going to watch and review the show because I love it, but I'm going to call it as I see it. And the show is failing in some aspects. And the reason I care and why I'm reviewing the show still is because it's like a sense of loyalty. I would feel a sense of betrayal not to review it, but kind of like The Pains, for example, if it ever got to the point where I didn't have the heart to talk about the show because it got to the point where it was so bad that I feel like every video I did was just me being hard on it, I would have to talk about something else. And like, if this was last year, remember last year when I was only doing have and have nots, it was around this time where I seriously thought about people, I don't want to say critiquing me, but suggesting, kind of like Tyler Perry suggesting he gets a writer room. People suggesting that I talk about other shows. I was skeptical, but really nervous because here I am being suggested shows like If Loving You Was Wrong and Greenleaf, shows that do have a solid fan base. And I'm like, here I am jumping aboard these shows when they're like a couple seasons in already. So what could I say? And, you know, would I mess up? But then I kind of fell into the shows, and those 2 shows, aside from the haves and the have-nots, were the biggest hits on the channel last year. So then, you know, the Olsen Sisters, which I'm kind of iffy on, you know, I might sub them out for other shows. I don't know for sure yet. I'm more confident now when it comes to jumping on to other series and talking about them, just seeing how other shows have done well. Ambitions, to me, fantastic show. My episode numbers, not really that good, but at the same time, but I did get a lot of reviews on the finale, though. So the show does come back for a season 2. I have a feeling my videos do a lot better. So I will keep that in mind. Greenleaf is hey, y'all just blew me away with the support on that show. If Loving You Was Wrong, the same thing. Like when that show comes back, I'm going to review it. But the haves and the have-nots, I feel like that's why I'm very hurt, because this show has been my favorite show for years since it first came out. This show, I've had a blast reviewing it since episode 1, from Twitter to my blog to YouTube. So to actually see the show in the deadliest season after a 6-month wait be this bad That's why I feel more hurt and disappointed than anything else. And yes, people like the whole, it's a TV show. That bull, no. I don't want to hear that. We in season 7. I ain't got time for that. So when it comes to these cliffhangers and people getting shot and whatnot, I'm not even going to be in suspense anymore. It's like, a Marvel film, like somebody dies. I'm like, well, even if you see the body, I know that saying is like, I'll believe that that person's dead when I see the body. But it's gotten to the point now where we just see these bodies and then they resurrect, if you will, like within a couple minutes in the next episode. So I don't know. I'm probably not going to watch Sisters in the Oval tonight. I think I need a Tyler Perry break right now. At least for the next day or so. I'm going to watch Crisis on Infinite Earths, the last 2 hours that came on CW from last night. I'm going to vacuum, just get my mind off things right now. And it sucks because this is supposed to be a good week. It's like my award came Monday, Have-Nots yesterday, the Netflix movie coming out Friday, and I did get somebody sent me a clip from it was like Verity, it was from Vibe magazine, it was something, but it was a clip of Tyler Perry talking at one of the showings for the movie. It was the one from Monday, I believe, the one where like Mariah Carey showed up and whatnot when Tyler Perry posted pictures. And he let it slip because after he said this, he said, I shouldn't have said this. A Fall from Grace was filmed in 5 days. Tyler Perry's first Netflix film, A Fall from Grace, was filmed in 5 days. Nobody's Fool was filmed in 10 days, and that movie it was bad. So I'm trying to give the film the benefit of the doubt because you have legendary actors and actresses. So I will hold my tongue on judgment until I watch the film on Friday. But hearing that it was filmed in 5 days has me very afraid. But I will, like I said, I will hold my tongue. Or as my mom always says, shut your mouth, Josephine. And I just out of nowhere. I will wait until Friday and I will do my review for that movie. But after seeing the haves and the have-nots last night, I do not have high hopes. That's not to say the episode didn't have some good points, because if you watch my review, which was pretty lengthy, I did talk about some of the things I did like. But when you... Okay, guys, I'm going to stop here because I don't want to hold you. I can go on for like an hour. I don't want to do that. You've heard my piece. I've already spoke it. I want to give this a benefit of the doubt. Maybe next week, when Katheryn's being taken out of the house and, Wyatt's talking to her through window, maybe he says, I missed you on purpose. Maybe he says, I wanted to just scare you, hence why I didn't shoot you. But for right now, I'm just disappointed and concerned about the future of this show. So with that being said, guys, I still have my unboxing. I'm probably going to save that for the end of the week. I think that's best because I'll post it. I think I hopefully have my Patreon running by the end of the week because I'll put it on there too. But yeah, just the award is awesome. I still haven't figured out what to do with it yet. It's in the box. I know people are like, dude, you need to display it, hang it up. I'll figure out something now. I'll figure out something. But just thank you all so much for that. It's just like to wake up and see it. Well, technically see the box. It's just great. And just my social media numbers have been going up dramatically from people joining in the Facebook groups, following me on Twitter, Instagram followers. We're climbing over 14,000. So just thank you all so much for that. And as always, subscribe to the channel if you're new. The next major milestone for me in terms of short-term goals, if you will, is to hit 20 million views. We have 19,600,000+. So we need a little less than 400,000 views. We'll get there within a few weeks. So, that's like the next short-term goal. But, other videos to do soon. So be on the lookout for those. I dropped 8 videos yesterday. But in any case, let me know your thoughts on Katheryn Cryer surviving the explanation. Do you think she was really shot? Do you think Wyatt missed on purpose? Do you think he missed because he was high? Do you think that I'm being too hard on the show? Or do you agree with me that we deserve better than what we're getting now? And this is no shade towards the cast. No. I'm talking about the writing, the Tyler Perry. I hate to just say that, but Tyler Perry. Especially in the midst of the whole not having a writer's room thing. And then I need to do a video because he did respond to that in an interview for A Fall from Grace. But Remember, Fall from Grace is Friday on Netflix. I'll do my review, and I do my movie reviews a bit differently than episode reviews. I pretty much give my thoughts on the good, the bad, and my overall, takeaway from the film. But have not, y'all gotta do better than this. Y'all gotta do better than this. Take care, guys.